Guys, what's going on, man? I have M here. I wanted to bring him on because I love his story, what I've seen. So before I even start talking, bro, just get into it, man. Tell us your story, man, because I want to hear it firsthand myself too, from scratch, from the beginning, man. When you were like a baby, when you were born.
All right, so I was born in 1996. I'm an old man now, but anyway, so essentially I was born in a village in Bangladesh, and I grew up in a pretty big family. I actually never revealed this little bit of information, but I basically have 12 siblings. So it's a huge family, especially in this day of age. And
Yeah.
so it was like, but essentially my dad was a teacher, and he's one of those guys that kind of like built up where his dad wasn't there when he was essentially passed away when he was a kid.
Hmm.
So it was like, on top of being in a village, that also, you know what I mean? So they used to like, I remember hearing story where they used to go to school, and then after that they would go, sell like the food goods
Yes.
essentially.
Yes.
And basically all the brothers and everything, they built almost like, they used to, they they invested, and to the point where like we did pretty well, especially as I grew up. I didn't necessarily grow up in poverty, so we did relatively well, especially for Bangladesh.
Well, let me
So
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Did you guys all live together?
so yeah, essentially what happened was my dad purchased a house, and then the way it worked was like all the brothers lived in the same house, but and then eventually when they kind of got their own house, it was like three houses pretty much right next to each other. That's how, like, it
Gotcha.
is. So it's like I
And
could see my,
yeah,
uncles and everything.
the reason why I ask is I grew up, I was born in a village. So
Yeah,
I lived with my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, my uncle, my aunt, and their four kids. So
yeah,
so yeah, that's what I was asking. But go ahead, keep going, man. Keep going, brother.
yeah. It's like it's a whole unity word. So like even during holidays, it's just like an insane amount of like large family get together. And so it was like obviously hearing that and kind of growing up, we ultimately my dad decided to. He's always been like multiple countries. So like in Saudi Arabia, let's say Dubai. He was in Mexico at some point, and ultimately came here. Essentially, the idea was like to an opportunity.
Hmm.
So when we came in, it was just like living in Atlantic City. It was the house that you guys saw in the video. It was like initially we were staying at, so it's like three bedrooms upstairs, all the way upstairs, and then because we couldn't afford the entire floor, so it was like two rooms were us. So it was like one of us, one room we shared all the siblings, and then one room was for my mom and dad, and then like um few of my siblings also lived in that one room, and then like another room, and another room we had like a person lived there, basically sharing the rent. This way it was kind of like we were able to um you know afford essentially, because
Yeah.
basically what my dad used to do is, do you know in Boardwalk, the carts, he used to push
Yes.
those and he
Yes.
saved up enough money to buy a convenience store. So what happened to the store is it was unfortunately in Atlantic City, and he used to get robbed like multiple
Oh,
times a week. So we had to like we couldn't stay in business. So ultimately had him retire with me and my brother. Basically, I begged him to like this and this. You have to like my dad is actually 74 at the moment. He's old.
yeah.
Um, so it was like we were like, all right, you need to like cut it. And then my brother took on that like role of providing. So he ended up not going to college. He sent me to college. So what I would do is I would work in Subway, CVS while I was in high school and whatnot. Um, essentially the I for me what happened was I didn't have to work more than 40 hours a week. So my brother allowed me to go to college.
Gotcha.
So at that point, dropping out was not an option. You know what I mean? So graduated from essentially did retail pretty much. Did Subway. Made sandwiches for 2 years. Went to CBS. Did Chinese food delivery, pizza delivery, whatever it is that I could essentially. Ultimately graduated on computer science and information system. So me being from Bangladesh, me being from, let's say, without any kind of connections, I knew I was already in disadvantaged place. So the approach was I'll be doing free internships if I had to, so I can build up my resume, because I knew retail jobs experience in a resume would not get me anywhere. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yes, I
So
do.
if I were to go in for a professional job, they don't care what I did in CVS as a cashier
Correct.
or let's say supervisor, whatever it is. It's just irrelevant. So basically took on free internships. I would do free internships, but I would do CVS to pay my bills and help with the family. And then the free internships because you don't get paid, but you get experience and
Yep.
you can
And
build.
you learn. Yeah.
Yeah. So then ultimately I got my, first job offer as a data analyst a week before I graduated.
Okay.
I was like secured that job. I was like in Mays Landing, basically just 25 minutes away from my house, living with my parents, worked there. Ultimately moved out with my at that time girlfriend. So now ex. We moved in an apartment, and then after, basically what was happening is I was overworking myself at that job, especially trying to impress my directors. Going in at let's say at 6 o'clock in the morning, leaving at 7, but then like I would stop by at Attila's in Egg Township to train and then ultimately go to the apartment. So
Yeah.
it's just burned out. I just didn't have the time to get anything else done because I was just
Yeah.
exhausted physically. So luckily, after a while, I just got like sick of it just because you're doing such a long hours. I was I started to look into work from home job for a data analyst. So that's when like basically went from making it was like a huge pay upgrade too. So that was like really nice job hopping.
Yeah.
And ultimately, as I was working from home, that's when I decided to actually buy my first house. So I finally got, I got my blessing from my dad. I was like, "Hey, Dad, I'm looking to buy a house, this and that." And he gave me, as soon as he gave me the blessing, within a month, I was like, "All right, let's do this." One of the biggest thing for me is like, as soon as my dad or my older brother gives me the go-to. So right now, for instance, I am looking to open up a gym. In
Yep.
the process, like just getting started,
Yeah.
initiating. So my brother recently came in here from Bangladesh to here. He just moved here, like I think he just finally got his visa. So he finally came in like I think 2, 3 weeks ago. And he saw my warehouse and he gave me the go-to for the gym. So now I'm like expediting that as soon as I can.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get it started. It's just when you have this like your dad's approval, for me at least, and my
Mhm.
brother, who I look at as my dad, it just like it made me so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's proud of me. My dad's proud of me. My parents proud of me. I was like, holy shit,
That's
I have
awesome.
to. This is it. This goes right.
This is awesome.
So bought the house, and because I had lots of time to kind of mess around at home, working from home. It wasn't like because at that point I had this a bit of experience, so the work was getting easier, pay was getting higher, and you have more time free to yourself.
Hmm.
So this is when I came out. I used to post lots of videos, like 15 videos a day on TikTok. Like 10 would be like on the low end, 15 would be like on the high end.
Yeah.
And it could be like not, just like someone asking a question to reply to a
Yeah.
comment
Yeah.
would only have 100 views, you know what I mean? So it wasn't even like a full thought out video, just like my raw opinion. So maybe like telling them like, hey, add citrulline to this formula. So they're saying, hey, I took this pre-workout. What can I add to
Hmm.
make it better, like a better performance? I'm like, okay, go to Amazon, buy this ingredient, and they would actually listen. I'm like, whoa, and I would get the feedbacks on my DMs saying, hey, I listened to your suggestion and thank you very much for taking the time and so on. So this is how I started, and I ultimately got a code from this one brand and turns out I was getting sales, which I did not. Again, I'm only 150. At that time, I was 150. Right now, I'm at 166. It's like the heaviest I've been in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm a relatively small guy. I don't expect to, for someone to just take my suggestion at a face value.
I understand.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
if you're a relatively huge guy and someone just starting, and if whatever you tell them to buy, they will buy simply because you are absolutely a mass monster. So you know
Yeah.
what you're doing. You just kind of like have this first impression versus me, pretty much a midget, but somehow they were listening to me. I was like, whoa. And then I would get feedbacks and I would share those feedback and I would get more requests and it was just like growth. So as I was bringing in like, sorry, my dogs are going
It's
crazy.
okay.
As I was bringing in more sales, it built a little bit of confidence in me. It's like, and people were kind of, I go live a lot on TikTok, so I can talk to them, talk to every single one of the comments, reply back, just like speed run to every single comments. a lot of fun messing around. They're bullying me, I'm bullying them, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So then, like, ultimately decided, like, hey, I have this bit of money that was saved up on stock, and stock was like 55% negative anyway. So I would see like every single day it's just going
Keep going
down.
down. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I have some money. I can probably get started with the project. And then as I was talking to the guys, I was like, hey, what if I build this formula? What do you guys think? Pretty much pretty stacked. I like the idea of stacked formula.
Yes.
Just for me, when it comes to pre-workout, that 20 minute in the gym at the peak pump, I feel amazing. So it's just like the best version of myself in doing that 20 minutes.
Hmm.
So the idea is to make it as stacked as I possibly can, take the lowest margin as I can while surviving. So
Yeah.
that was that was kind of like the thought process. So I built a formula. Unfortunately, I got hit with a bad manufacturer. I lost
Uh,
like close to $900 because they used to charge $300 per sample. Uh, so it was like almost like a, and I'm one of those guys that like updates formula, like, hey, give me this version, give me this version, give me this version. So now I want
yeah.
to decide this one is actually effective. So, but ultimately, because I did 3 iteration, it cost me $900, and they couldn't.
Wow, bro.
Yeah, they couldn't flavor it properly. It was like basically I put bakupa in there, which was extremely bitter, and they couldn't mask it. Was one of the biggest hardest issue, and they could not bring the flavor in. And I had to wait like 8 weeks to get the first sample. So after like posting basically hundreds of videos, after 8 weeks, I finally get this sample, which was absolutely disappointing. And I was pretty much ready to give up. But then I met John from UXO Supplement.
Yes.
Uh, so I was actually with also his company as an affiliate, and I used to talk to him, and then he ultimately directed me to his old manufacturer, and then we got the product pretty much live within like a month and a half,
Nice.
or maybe 2 months, I think. But we got the sample within like a week. We approved the flavor, get labels and everything done within like 2 months. I went live, and April 15th was like the day when I opened the pre-order. Initially I was expecting to maybe sell at most like $10,000. Like because there was so many hype and I was posting so many videos and everyone was saying, hey, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna buy it. But I never believed it because I was like, all right, people always say they're gonna buy it, but it
Yeah.
never turned into an actual action. But for me, it was weird. It was like um, within 30 minutes, we brought in $25,000 revenue. And mind you, I mean nobody was like 6,000 followers or whatnot, something like that. Literally. And I was like, well, as I was seeing the numbers just spiking as I opened the website, I was like almost in tears, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Holy shit, this is actually happening.
That's
And within
awesome.
6 days, we sold out the entire 1,000 units of the first batch,
It's
and
awesome, dude.
I was like, holy crap! So that was like the first success of
That's fucking
Echo.
awesome.
Echo started.
Now, and then from there you just kept rolling with new formulas and things like that. What
So yeah,
now
go ahead.
real,
Sorry.
real quick, what I was gonna say is what I like what you did is you went you went towards the other direction, which the industry tends not to do, which is invest into ingredients and quality versus just go after heavy margins, right?
Yeah.
You I think we kind of have like that similar mentality where like for in other words, like now I don't have my own brand, but I invest in brands, right? That have that high ingredients because I want to use them. So to me, if I have a consumer that uses something that they feel and it works, they're
Yeah.
they're gonna trust me forever because I didn't just take their money for nothing. You know what I mean? And that's what I see from you is you created a product that backed everything you said, and your consumers saw it and they became your loyal consumers, which means your returning based consumers is going to be 3, 4, 5 times better than the other guy who just wants to profit and just like, yeah, just give me the money and get out, like type of deal.
So it's actually good correlation. So there was one of the drop I had, within so usually I do the drops around like 6 o'clock. So it gives me 6 hours in that day, right? So one of the drop I had 800 something orders in that 6 hours. Out of those 92% was returning customers.
Yeah.
That is an insane amount. So our issue
Yeah.
was new customers. As soon as they try our products, they're hooked or they're getting new people. So it's like I never spent a single dollar on ads yet. I don't
Mhm.
like advertisement, to be honest with you.
I don't think I
Uh,
don't. You don't need to. You're set. Like what you're doing
yeah,
is working. There's no reason.
yeah.
Like social.
So
Listen, you figured out social media on a TikTok side. Like me, I never spent money on advertising for social media ever. I never spent
yeah,
money on advertising for flyers, anything like that. I invested into, for example, athletes and events and things like that to get the hype out. Just like you
yep.
invested in the people who believed in you, right? They have a strong social media presence to get people excited around it because you knew if they were going to try it, they're done. Like that's it. They're going to love it. They're going to freaking love it and stay.
I that's literally what I'm hoping. Basically, and I invested in essentially my athletes. That's where I prioritize. So my core values are formula first. We have our customer second, as in customer satisfaction, and then we have our athletes, and then my profit. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the profit is being reused into reinvesting essentially. So like to go back to your what you said, kind of like making each formula better and better. It was like my first formula costed me $23, right?
Yep.
And then the second version, which is the flagship 2.1, costed me 24.50. And then
Mhm.
3.0, which is essentially the current flagship, it literally costed me 26.30. So each bump that I'm doing is costing me more, but it's a dramatic. It's like if you look at the 1.0 versus 2.1 versus 3.0, it's a massive difference in terms of like the stack, how stacked the formula is.
Yeah.
And right now, I already have the formula for 4.0. Plan to go live with the what is it called? April. Sorry, excuse me. For the Black Friday, actually, I'm getting ready for those. Basically, the formula is going to be the idea is for the next version to make this version look absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a nice update. Basically, I have a goal. I have a goal, like a short-term goal,
Yeah.
where I spend $1 million into one invoice. I have it drops every month almost. So per drop, the highest I've done last year was $570,000 invoice, combination with clothing and everything combined in one drop. This year, my goal is to hit $1 million in invoice
Mhm.
for one drop, and that's going to be probably a 4.0 launch. And it's going to be aggressive. I do not want to like. It's like if they're gonna give you their money, I want them to know that it's like this trust they have, and people there's like this joke going around of like M scamming me, and it's like a good way. They know we're like I just if there's if there's like any kind of like thing that I can capitalize on. So there's like a little bit of conflict I had with like some other brands, let's
Yeah.
say,
What
and those
happens? Yeah.
the drama. So I named my Formula 3.0 drama. I
Mhm.
ordered essentially 12,000 units with the name drama. I was just like, if there's any possibility for me to capitalize on any kind of marketing, I'm taking that approach. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's yeah. The idea again is the formula. I like stacked formulas always. Um, the better pump, the better focus.
Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people don't realize, like, because when you mentioned $23, that's $23 to a typical $50 pre. Now, other $50 typical pre's are 10, 11, 9, 7, 8. Now, say somebody randomly orders, one pre, people don't realize, like, okay, there's your small margin. Well, you still got to pay for shipping to get it out there.
Yeah.
So then that margin gets lower. So there,
Yep. Yep.
and then if it's also suggested to be bought by one of your athletes, right? So they get a kickback, then it goes a
Yep.
little smaller. So it's scary for normally people to be like, wait, I don't know if I can just justify just making $10 of this thing or making five. Like I'm throwing random numbers out, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Of
throwing it
course.
out there versus somebody else like, no, dude, I got to make fucking $40 of this $10 pre. Like it can't be any other way. So,
Yeah.
but again, man, you see it the way where these people that trust you, they believe in you, you're giving them high quality product. People will fall in love with quality. People are willing to spend money on quality. You know what I'm saying? If they weren't, your dethroner wouldn't have fucking sold out, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, it's crazy. It was so Daytona was one thing that it didn't sell out yet. We still have like 400 units left out of like 9,000 units that we purchased
mhm,
because it's so expensive. And the problem was it was a taste on this one. So what was happening is I have so many extracts that it was so hard to flavor, and the flavor didn't come out the best. And people still, it's still one of my most sold every day, but because it's 9,000 units at such a high price,
Yeah,
it's still struggling with that. But it was one of those formula that costed me extreme amount of money, made very little in terms of actual per tub sold.
I know.
But it was again, I just did it to make statement. So like 1 gram of base drive AP alone was like $7 in that one ingredient.
Yeah.
Forget everything else.
Bro, listen, your dethroner was the equivalent of somebody going to the gym and deadlifting 800 pounds to make people know who they are.
We're working on Dethrone 2.0, which should be released on our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah,
It so it's much cheaper, and we got the flavor pretty much on very acceptable, very, very acceptable. And it's cheaper, and I cannot wait finally to reveal the formula and just make some more noise in the industry.
yeah, that's exciting. And you did make noise. Congratulations, because you did win brand new brand, or I'm going to say this wrong, newcomer of the year.
Yeah.
So that's very, very impressive, man. And listen, you did it from your backyard, man, basically with a couple friends and I'm excited to see like when you put you put everything together for your gym and so forth.
Yeah.
Now you like for example like I'm sure listen, everybody gets some negativity that get thrown at us. That's normal, right? The bigger you get, the more negativity you get. Who cares? It is what it is. You use that negativity to grow. Who cares? Now, like I mentioned this off camera to you, like we're like kind of two different worlds, right? In fitness world, right? Like I'm very
Yeah.
heavy, that bodybuilding world, that whole competitive side, right? Now that side is usually like, oh, I don't like the influencers versus your side is, look, man, I like to go to the gym. I like to fucking hang out. I like to take some pictures. That bodybuilder over there is an asshole, right? Because he's just fucking looking at me wrong. Me, I like this right here. You and me bringing two worlds together to enjoy fitness. You know what I'm saying? Because look, I like what I always try to tell people, man, is listen, I went to the gym the same reason you go to the gym before I got into bodybuilding. So just because I decided to compete and eat my fucking meals and live a lifestyle doesn't make me better than you. I just enjoy the sport. And there's nothing wrong with me sharing, let's say, information, knowledge back to the other generations. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I look at it. Because listen, man, I know you get the fucking listen. I know exactly you know what I'm talking about. How it is out there in
No,
the
I
gym.
know. I agree with that very much.
Yeah,
We typically, if they were to label us, it's like a social media kind of company. But the thing is, you're right. It's our audience is mainly, as you know, we're mainly on TikTok, so the
yeah,
the demographics is on the younger side. So it's like they can't always relate to someone that's super into bodybuilding and like
correct,
professional bodybuilder IB pros. They're focused on different agendas.
correct.
They have goals. So they can't exactly relate all the time. And sometimes some people might get scared where like, hey, this man is too big, where it's just like, versus like they might be able to relate to me more because I'm much more
Yeah,
closer. So they feel more of connections, which is one of the biggest reasons why they'll usually give it a shot. If it's working on me, it might most likely work on them also because we look the same. We're like, it's just that familiarity. It's just we just look similar essentially, size wise at least. Um, for us, it's like obviously like entertainment comes in handy. This is why like some of our best athletes are usually they bring in usually entertainment, and
yeah,
as a result, they see value in. We don't necessarily have that many bodybuilders, but usually what I'm noticing is people that are succeeding, they probably just started lifting, but they provide contents that provide some sort of like humor, some sort of like personality, where
yeah.
they're usually the most successful ones in terms of bringing in sales.
Personality is definitely huge for anybody listening in, man. If you want to, like, the biggest tip we can give is listen, you can't make somebody fall in love with you or follow you
Yeah.
or support you if they don't know your personality, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, dude, and human nature, the typical every human being, right, has envy and jealousy, right?
Yeah.
Inside, it's just a vice that's in there. So first impressions tend to swing that way, and you need to show them personality. You know what I mean? So, but no, man, I'm a huge fan, dude. Like I really am. I love seeing the success stories from individuals who do the things they love, man. And we're definitely like in a new wave of the industry. This is the biggest time in the history of fitness where so many people are going to the gym or enjoying or loving, especially in a younger youth. And
Yeah,
and this is an oppor- excuse me, this is an opportunity. Like, listen, I my goal is to give back to bodybuilding and make it grow. I can't do that if I'm not incorporating the younger youth and showing them that, hey, maybe you'll like this lifestyle if you decide to go down a route, and if you don't, we're all here to help you anyway. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
so it's definitely pretty cool, man. Now with your now I know you moved and you have the warehouse now in Texas.
yeah, yeah.
So how was that, man? Was that nervous, or how was that whole thing?
I'm still nervous. So basically, the fear is that what if Echo goes down today, right? I
It's
signed
not
this.
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So I just want to let you know, but keep going.
Yeah, I'm just like a paranoid person in general. I like, again, I quit my job and everything. So it's like, what if something goes wrong? What if, so that it is scary, but at the same time, as I kind of like entering the warehouse, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like insane. This again, I used to ship out from my one garage space, garage. So like from that amount of space to this warehouse, and this kind of like I almost have like products just for the sake of having inventory. So like I have miscellaneous products like raw ingredients, your L-citrulline, glutamine, which doesn't sell as much, but I still have it just. And as I look at them, warehouse filled of inventory, I'm like, it's just still to this date is like unreal. And now it's only 2,500 square feet, and it's getting to the point it's like almost filled, and I'm already looking for like a bigger warehouse,
we
and of course,
Well,
it's
yeah, man. I mean, if once you start launching protein, you're going to be stuck. Have to get a bigger warehouse because that takes up too much space, and it would be impossible, man. Listen, you know what I would do when you get your gym, have a space for a
yeah,
warehouse. You know what I mean?
that's exactly what I plan to do. I don't. I don't know if 10,000 square feet would be a good space for a gym, to be honest. So like,
If you're
but
if you're planning to use some of that space for a warehouse, probably not, man. Because I would say minimum 10,000 square feet for the gym is good. 15 is like fucking amazing, right? That's like perfection. And then for your warehouse purposes, man, you might need, I mean, because you got to think ahead. You might need 10,000 square feet for inventory, and you may not need it like within a year, but you
yeah,
might need it in 2 years and so forth. So it's like that, man.
keep that in mind. This is where I'm struggling. So I should be on Tuesday. I plan to visit some properties. I was going to buy a land and basically start from ground up, but it seems like bad idea because of the capital issue.
Mhm.
Since I completed my first, I'll be completing my first year, and after taxes, I should be able to be eligible for some loans. That's the idea, where like I can get some put together, a gym together. Um, I the idea for the supplement, I don't want to run out of inventory. Is that should still
Yeah,
have the inventory so it doesn't get affected. Aqua doesn't get affected. Meanwhile, I kind of move forward with the Aqua Gym. But yeah, looking to basically get a space that's more than 10,000 at least for now, and then eventually buy land and maybe I'll build something. Hopefully, it's still a concept.
I got you. Now, before we finish everything off, man, what would be your personal advice for anybody that's listening in, especially the younger generation? Like,
Yeah.
what's your advice to them who might be like looking at this is impossible, or I can't never do this, or like, what's your advice, man?
So if advice to, let's say, someone that's want to start their business, let's say supplement company or this gym, making the decision to pursue it is obviously the biggest decision, I feel like. And biggest thing I would worry about is actually producing a good product. In my honest opinion, I think product should be good, where even at that point, if you can speak to your formula, I think people would actually give it a shot, and they will actually, see if they can trust you, rather than, like you said, worrying about making $40 in a $10 product. That might be another way to go. That's how a lot of companies have failed, I feel like. And again, I'm not trying to be like a jerk when I say this, but I feel like a lot of companies have made that decision where like they immediately wanted to make that huge margin. and ultimately failed. Who knows? Maybe Echo will fail, but I don't know. Um, but if
I'm gonna say this for you guys who are listening. The reason why Echo isn't gonna fail because if Echo forgot, it's not gonna happen. But if Echo started doing bad, when you have the passion and you're obsessed about what you're doing, you will find a way.
I hope so. I truly hope so. Um, So my advice to people that are, let's say, looking to be influencer or make money, let's say not they don't want to do their own supplement, rather have like a sort of income. What I would recommend is bringing in personality rather than simply relying on physique and reaches. So what's
Yes.
been happening is I'll get DMs on a regular basis asking for sponsorships, and they'll send me simply their follower count and their reaches, right? And I know for a fact I can look at them, and sometimes what's happening is people are buying engagements from like Discord
Yeah.
channels or whatnot. You can kind of tell it's fake engagements or whatnot. And
Mhm.
obviously, I'm not going to invest my money into it. Rather focusing on getting actual sales. So if you are someone that's trying to be sponsored by any company, you need to be able to bring sales. You need to be able to bring values. I feel like so relying solely on physique may not be the best idea because from my experience so far, people that are able to provide some sort of value, whether it's entertainment, whether it's coaching information, whether it's any kind of information in general, if you're able to provide some sort of value to your audience, that is when people will actually go out of the way to use your code or use,
Yep.
into your recommendation. At the same time, if you simply sign up for the first code that you get and look into their products, if you can't back it up properly, I would wait on it because when you push it from your heart, that's when people will genuinely see it.
Yeah.
It's very easy to kind of almost tell that okay, this person is pushing this product simply for the commission versus he actually uses it, he actually
Yeah.
loves it, and he's recommending it. I should give it a shot. That would be my, you know, advice to anybody that is looking to, let's say, make this a living in terms of like a source of income at least.
I like it. I like it, my friend. I like it. All right, brother. So listen, thank you so much for jumping on. And I listen, I want to do your buy that you normally do on your videos. You say pieces, pieces, or
It's
piece,
a
piece,
piece.
piece
It's
of
like
piece.
piece. No, no, just like piece. So three piece,
Three piece. All
pieces.
right. All right. So we're gonna do it. Piece, piece,
All right,
piece.
pieces.
All right. Thank you so much, brother, and have a great night, man. All right.
Also, have a good night. Bye.